It's the kind of story that can shake a party to its core and send tremors through the entire political landscape. Tonight, a storm is brewing inside Labour, one that could define the fate of Keir Starmer's leadership and reshape the opposition long before the next election. The controversy surrounding Chancellor Rachel Reeves has cracked open far more than a personal scandal. It has exposed deep fractures within a party once promising a decade in power. Insiders are whispering, plans are forming, and the timing could not be more precarious, coming just weeks before the autumn budget that was meant to solidify Labour's credibility. But as reports reveal, the budget might instead trigger an open revolt, according to detailed accounts published by the Daily Mail and corroborated by multiple party sources. Senior Labour MPs are quietly discussing ways to challenge Starmer after the budget. Some, it seems, are no longer content with closed-door frustration. They're preparing for open confrontation. The phrase on everyone's lips inside Westminster, according to one former minister, isn't if he should go, but who will replace him. That's how far things have fallen. Poll numbers have slumped below those of the Green Party in certain surveys, a humiliation unthinkable even 6 months ago. And if these numbers continue sliding, the unraveling may accelerate beyond anyone's control. Starmer's promise of competent, long-term leadership is being tested by the very people expected to uphold it. Within the narrow corridors of Parliament and the dim corners of internal party chats, discussions are growing louder. The Daily Mail's report paints a picture of despair. Ministers openly weighing whether Starmer can survive another month after facing the bruising fallout of defending Rachel Reeves. Reeves, of course, has been under scrutiny over a rental property dispute, a matter that should have been minor, but instead snowballed into days of damaging headlines and questions about fairness. The Prime Minister's insistence on keeping her in post angered many inside the party, including those who remember how swiftly other ministers were cast aside for lesser offenses. One of them is Louise Haigh, the former Transport Secretary who resigned last year after a fraud conviction involving a stolen mobile phone surfaced. Her recent appearance on BBC One's Have I Got News for You turned heads when she accused Starmer of double standards, a remark that now echoes through every discussion about loyalty and leadership. While no single challenger has formally stepped forward, the groundwork for a leadership trigger is already taking shape. Insiders are floating the idea of using a stalking horse, the political tactic in which a placeholder candidate enters a leadership fight to open the door for a full contest. It's an old Westminster maneuver, but it works if at least 8 MPs back it. The name whispered most often for that role, Louise Haigh herself. Whether she's serious or simply testing the waters is unclear, but her reappearance at this moment is no coincidence. The subtext is plain. If Starmer cannot regain grip after the coming budget, his leadership could be formally challenged before Christmas. Yet here's the twist many viewers might not expect. Even those plotting change seem uncertain about who should take the reins. The potential contenders, Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahmood, Angela Rayner, and Ed Miliband, represent different strains of Labour's identity, but none appear capable of uniting its fractured wings. Streeting embodies the modernizing reformer, Mahmood, the loyal organizer, Rayner, the outspoken grassroots voice, and Miliband, the nostalgic figure from a previous era. Insiders describe the mood as one of collective exhaustion, not zeal for renewal. That's why some say Starmer might cling on longer than anyone expects, not because of strength, but because no one else dares take the risk. Still, a senior Labour source predicts everything will come to a head after Reeves delivers her expected tax-raising budget later this month. If that budget lands badly with voters, or with workers already frustrated by rising costs, Starmer may not weather the backlash. The irony is hard to ignore. Starmer came to power promising stability, a calm alternative to conservative chaos. But now, that very image of calm is being used against him, framed as weakness, indecision, even detachment. Party veterans fear the label is sticking. A former cabinet minister told reporters that every conversation in Westminster now has his name in it, but not in a good way. It's a damning reflection of how quickly fortunes can shift in British politics. And this time, the shift might be irreversible. For viewers at home wondering how much this truly matters, the stakes extend beyond one man's career. If Labour splinters now, before a general election, Britain could face months of uncertainty with no stable opposition to challenge government policy effectively. That would leave a vacuum, one that smaller parties or populist movements will eagerly fill. And as Labour wrestles with its identity crisis, another major story broke overnight, demanding attention and deepening the sense of unease across the country. A mass stabbing attack on a train near Huntington has shocked commuters and sparked new questions about public safety. Witnesses initially told police they saw one man slashing at multiple passengers, but within hours, 2 suspects were in custody. What unfolded next only added to public confusion. According to GB News, police have now released one of the suspects, a 35-year-old man from London, with no further action. He was arrested at the scene, but later clear of involvement after investigators confirmed he was misidentified in the chaos. The remaining suspect, a 32-year-old man, is now being treated as the sole perpetrator and remains in custody. Officials confirmed 9 people were injured, 2 of them critically. The police insist this was an isolated incident, not linked to organized terror. But that declaration raises complex questions because under modern British law, the definition of terrorism has become blurry. Since the Southport killings last year, prosecutors have wrestled with how to classify lone wolf violence, especially when ideological motives are suggested, but not clearly proven. The case of Axel Ruda Cubana is a stark example. He held digital materials connected to extremist networks but acted alone, prompting leaks of legal debate over whether his act counted as terrorism. That same uncertainty now lingers over Huntington. Was this knife attack politically or religiously inspired, or an act of personal madness? The answer determines how it will be prosecuted, and more importantly, how it will inform future security policy. For now, investigators say intent remains unclear. For the public, it's a reminder that even seemingly random incidents can expose how fragile our sense of safety has become. Back in Westminster, some argue that these 2 stories, Labour's infighting and the Huntington stabbing, show a common thread: a country uncertain of its direction, struggling to balance stability with accountability. Starmer's leadership crisis reveals how easily political unity can fracture under pressure. The stabbing investigation exposes how strained public trust has become in the systems meant to protect them. And together, they frame the question haunting Britain tonight: who, if anyone, still inspires confidence? The answer might decide not only the future of one political leader, but the public mood that shapes this nation's next chapter. And here's the definitive outcome as it stands. Labour insiders continue their quiet maneuvers to trigger a leadership challenge, but none of the possible contenders appears ready to move first. The pressure on Starmer is mounting. Rachel Reeves remains under scrutiny as she prepares a budget that could either stabilize or destroy his leadership, and within days of its release, we'll know whether the party's long-promised unity was ever real, or just a fragile illusion waiting to crumble. Meanwhile, the Huntington investigation confirms 1 suspect cleared, another still held, and 9 victims recovering as detectives work to determine motive. 2 crises, one political, one societal, both testing Britain's grip on control at a time when confidence is already thinning. If you want to see how this political storm could intensify after the budget lands, and which challenger is quietly building support behind the scenes. Watch our next report, The Secret Plot to Replace Starmer, where we break down the inside moves taking shape right now. Click through, because what's coming next may decide whether Labour's leadership changes before Christmas.